Picture a place so deep that if you dropped Mount Everest into it, the peak would still be underwater. A place where the pressure could crush a submarine like a soda can. A place sunlight has never touched, ever. Now imagine scientists finally reach the bottom, and they find life. Not just life, plastic, chemicals. Proof that the deepest point on Earth is not isolated at all. So what is really down there? And what does it say about us? The deepest known point in the ocean is Challenger Deep, inside the Mariana Trench in the Western Pacific. It sits nearly 11 kilometers below the surface, farther down than commercial airplanes fly up. For most of human history, this place was basically a rumor with coordinates, because reaching it is brutally difficult. Extreme pressure, near freezing temperatures, total darkness. But over the last few decades, scientists and engineers have finally started going down there, dropping cameras, robotic landers, and a few rare crewed submersibles. They went looking for answers. How does life survive without sunlight? What does the seafloor actually look like? And is the deepest ocean truly untouched? But every mission revealed something strange. The deeper we looked, the more signs of ourselves we found. The descent to Challenger Deep does not feel like diving. It feels like leaving Earth. As the submersible sinks, the blue fades into black. Then the pressure starts building. 1 atmosphere every 10 meters. At 1 kilometer down, you are already under more pressure than most military submarines will ever experience. At the bottom, the pressure exceeds 1,000 atmospheres. Imagine a pickup truck pressing down on every postage stamp-sized area of your body. That is the force outside the hull, which means the submersible has to function like a vault. Any tiny flaw becomes catastrophic instantly. And navigation down there feels strangely primitive. GPS cannot reach you. Radio barely works underwater. So pilots rely on sonar pings, careful calculations, and patience. Hours pass. The temperature approaches freezing. And outside, there is almost complete silence, except for the occasional creak. Metal responding to pressure it was never meant to feel. Then, finally, the lights hit the sea floor. Pale sediment, scattered rocks, and something unexpected. Movement. Because the deepest dead zone on Earth is not dead at all. At the bottom, you expect stillness. Instead, you find life everywhere. Tiny, ghost-like creatures drift through the lights, like snowflakes that learn to swim. Tracks appear across the sediment, signs that something crawled here recently. And when baited landers arrive, animals show up quickly. Some are amphipods, shrimp like scavengers built for crushing pressure. Their bodies stay flexible, their chemistry prevents proteins from collapsing. Then there are snailfish, translucent, fragile-looking animals that seem biologically impossible. And yet they survive perfectly down there. But the real mystery is energy. There is no sunlight at these depths, no photosynthesis, no plants. So the ecosystem survives on what falls from above. Dead plankton, waste, tiny fragments of organic matter. Scientists call it marine snow, a constant slow-motion rain of food. But here is where things become strange. The trench is not just collecting nutrients. Its shape and currents funnel material downward, concentrating debris into the deepest parts of the planet, including things that were never meant to end up there. Scientists expected to discover new species, and they did, but they also discovered evidence of us. At nearly 11 kilometers deep, researchers found a plastic bag. Think about that for a second. A grocery bag traveled farther into Earth than most humans ever will. But plastic is only part of the story. Deep trench animals also carry industrial chemicals inside their bodies, compounds that resist breaking down and accumulate over time. Some amphipods from the trench show surprisingly high pollutant levels, meaning the deep ocean is not protected from the surface world. It is absorbing what the surface discards. Even the seafloor itself records it. The sediment acts like an archive, layer after layer building over time. Carbon, minerals, shell fragments, microscopic debris. A timeline of Earth's history. But now, mixed into that timeline are synthetic fibers, microplastics, chemical traces, modern fingerprints that future scientists may someday date like tree rings. The deepest place on Earth has become a sink, not just for nature's leftovers, for ours. So what did scientists really discover at the deepest point on Earth? Two realities existing side by side. First, life is far tougher and stranger than we imagined. Creatures evolved to survive pressures that would destroy our machines. Thriving in darkness, living off scraps drifting from worlds above them. But the second discovery is harder to ignore. The trench is not isolated, connected by gravity, by currents, by sinking particles, by time. Meaning pollution does not just spread outward, it sinks, it concentrates, it becomes part of ecosystems we barely understand. And that leads to the uncomfortable realization, Challenger Deep is not the end of the Earth. If a plastic bag can reach the deepest point on the planet, then out of sight and out of reach are basically the same thing. We went looking for alien life, and we found ourselves instead. The Mariana Trench should feel like another world, sealed away by darkness and pressure. Instead, it proves something far stranger. Nothing humans do stays isolated for long. The deepest point on Earth is not just where the ocean ends, it is where our choices finally settle. Thanks for watching.